The stolen alien vessel hummed with energy as Sergeant Jack Cooper studied the holographic display before him. Stars streaked by in the view screen, a constant reminder of their incredible journey and the vast unknown that surrounded them. "How's our course looking?" Dr. Sato Jack asked, glancing over at the xenobiologist who had become their de facto navigation expert. Emily Sato frowned, her fingers dancing over the alien controls. "I think we're on the right track. But Jack, I have to stress the think part. This nav system is like nothing I've ever seen. It's as if it's plotting courses through dimensions we can't even perceive." Jack nodded grimly. It had been 3 days since their daring escape from the alien shipyard, and while they were making progress in understanding their stolen vessel, every new discovery seemed to reveal 10 more mysteries. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. Corporal Chen, who had taken up position at what they believed to be the sensor station, called out in alarm. Multiple contacts, closing fast. They came out of nowhere. Jack's combat instincts kicked in immediately. "Battle stations. Rodriguez, get on weapons. Chen, give me details on those contacts." The bridge erupted into frantic activity as the crew scrambled to their positions. Through the view screen, Jack could see sleek alien vessels appearing, their designs similar but more advanced than the ship they'd stolen. 8. "No, 10 ships," Chen reported, her voice tense. "They're moving to surround us." Before Jack could respond, the ship rocked violently as enemy fire slammed into their shields. Warning lights flashed across every console, accompanied by a cacophony of alien alerts none of them fully understood. Shields at 80%, and dropping Dr. Sato called out, interpreting the displays as best she could. "Jack, I don't think we can take sustained fire from this many ships." Jack gritted his teeth, his mind racing through their limited options. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and still unfamiliar with their own ship's capabilities. But he'd be damned if he'd let them go down without a fight. Rodriguez returned fire. "Target the lead ship. Chen, find me a weak point in their formation. We're punching through." The ship shuddered as Rodriguez unleashed a barrage of energy weapons. To their surprise and relief, 2 of the alien vessels seemed to falter under the assault, their shields flickering. "They weren't expecting us to be able to use their weapons," Jack realized aloud. "Push the attack. Don't let up." For a few glorious moments, it seemed like they might have a chance. Their stolen ship, apparently a more advanced model than their pursuers, cut through the alien formation with surprising agility. Rodriguez's gunnery skills, honed through countless simulations over the past days, were paying off as they scored hit after hit. But the aliens adapted quickly. Their attacks became more coordinated, herding the human-controlled vessel into a kill zone. Impacts rocked the ship continuously, and the stream of alien alerts became a constant, maddening backdrop. "Shields," critical Dr. Sato shouted over the din. "Multiple systems failing. Jack, we can't take much more of this." Jack's eyes darted across the tactical display, searching desperately for a way out. Then he saw a massive asteroid field looming in the near distance. It was risky, but they were out of options. "Everyone hold on," he shouted. "Sato, plot us a course into that asteroid field. Full power to engines." "Are you insane?" Chen exclaimed. "We can barely fly this thing in open space." "Then I suggest you learn fast," Jack replied grimly. "It's our only shot." The ship lurched as Dr. Sato executed the maneuver, diving towards the field of tumbling space rocks. The alien pursuers, momentarily taken aback by the suicidal move, fell behind for a crucial few seconds. As they entered the asteroid field, chaos erupted on the bridge. Massive rocks hurtled past them at terrifying speeds, each near-miss eliciting gasps and curses from the crew. Jack found himself working purely on instinct, calling out commands to adjust their course on the fly. "Hard to port. No, your other port. Boost lateral thrusters. Now." Somehow, through a combination of luck, skill, and the ship's advanced maneuverability, they managed to penetrate deeper into the asteroid field without being smashed to pieces. Behind them, they heard satisfying explosions as several pursuing ships weren't so fortunate. Finally, after what felt like hours but was likely only minutes, they found themselves in a relatively clear pocket within the field. Jack ordered them to power down all non-essential systems, hoping to hide among the asteroid's electromagnetic interference. As the adrenaline of the chase began to fade, the true extent of their situation became clear. Warning lights still flashed on every console, and the air was filled with the acrid smell of fried circuitry. "Damage report," Jack called out, his voice hoarse. Dr. Sato shook her head, her face pale as she interpreted the alien readouts. "It's bad, Jack. Our main drive is severely damaged. Life support is holding, but who knows for how long. And these alerts. I think we're venting atmosphere in at least 3 sections." Jack closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of command settle heavily on his shoulders. They were alive, but stranded in an asteroid field, in a damaged ship they barely understood, with unknown alien forces potentially still hunting them. Opening his eyes, he saw his team looking to him for direction. Despite everything, he managed a grim smile. "All right, people, we're not dead yet. Chen, Rodriguez, start sealing off any compromised sections. Sato, see if you can get our comms working. We need to try to contact Earth. I'll start assessing the damage to our engines." As the crew moved to their tasks, Jack allowed himself one last look at the star-filled space beyond the asteroids. They had survived the immediate threat, but he knew their true test of endurance was just beginning. The alien ship drifted silently in the shadow of a massive asteroid, its once gleaming hull now scarred and darkened. Inside, Sergeant Jack Cooper wiped sweat from his brow as he struggled with an array of unfamiliar tools, attempting to seal a breach in one of the lower decks. "How's it coming?" Sarge Rodriguez's voice crackled through his comm. Jack grunted as he finally managed to activate the alien repair device, watching as it began to extrude a metallic substance that sealed the hull breach. "Slowly, but we're making progress. How are things on your end?" "Chen and I have managed to seal off 2 of the compromised sections," Rodriguez replied. "But we're running low on whatever passes for oxygen tanks in this tin can." Jack nodded grimly, even though Rodriguez couldn't see him. "All right, conserve what you can. We'll regroup on the bridge in an hour to assess our situation." As Jack made his way back through the twisting corridors of the alien vessel, he couldn't help but marvel at the strange beauty of its design. Even damaged and powered down, there was an organic quality to the ship that felt almost alive. On the bridge, Dr. Sato was hunched over the communications array, her face illuminated by the soft glow of alien displays. She looked up as Jack entered, her expression a mix of frustration and determination. "Any luck contacting Earth?" Jack asked, already knowing the answer from her face. Sato shook her head. "Nothing yet. The asteroid field is playing havoc with our long-range communications. I've set up a repeating distress signal, but..." She trailed off, the unspoken "if anyone can hear it" hanging in the air. Jack placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Keep at it, Doc. If anyone can figure out these alien systems, it's you." As the rest of the team gathered on the bridge, Jack took stock of their situation. They had managed to stabilize life support and seal the most critical hull breaches, but the ship was still far from functional. The main drive was offline, and they were operating on emergency power. "All right, people," Jack began, his voice cutting through the tense silence. "We're in a tight spot, but we've faced worse. Chen, what's our supply situation?" Corporal Chen consulted a datapad they'd jury-rigged to interface with the alien systems. "We've got enough food and water for about 3 weeks, maybe 4 if we stretch it. Oxygen is the bigger concern. Without the main systems online, we're looking at maybe 10 days before it gets dicey." Jack nodded, processing the information. "Okay, priorities then. Sato, keep working on communications. If we can't call for help, none of the rest matters. Rodriguez, you and I will focus on getting the main drive operational. Chen, see if you can figure out how to boost our life support efficiency." As the team moved to their tasks, Jack found himself drawn to the view screen. The asteroid field stretched out before them, a chaotic dance of rock and ice. Somewhere beyond that, he knew, alien forces were likely still searching for them. And even further, Earth waited, unaware of their struggle. Days passed in a blur of exhausting work and fitful rest. The team fell into a rhythm, each focusing on their tasks with grim determination. Small victories were celebrated, a system brought back online, a successful repair, but the enormity of their situation weighed heavily on them all. On the fifth day, as Jack was elbow-deep in what he hoped was the ship's engine core, Dr. Sato's excited voice came over the comm. "Jack, everyone, I've found something in the ship's database. You need to see this." Gathering on the bridge, the team watched as Sato brought up a holographic display filled with alien text and diagrams. "I've been trying to decipher their language," Sato explained, her eyes bright with the thrill of discovery. "And I think this is some kind of historical archive. Look at this." The display shifted, showing what appeared to be a star map. Alien symbols pulsed at various points. "If I'm reading this correctly," Sato continued, "this shows the expansion of their civilization. But look here." She pointed to a section of the map that looked eerily familiar. Jack's eyes widened as he recognized the configuration of stars. "That's our solar system." Sato nodded. "Exactly. And according to these timestamps, at least, I think they're timestamps they've known about Earth for centuries. They've been watching us, studying us, long before we even knew they existed." A heavy silence fell over the bridge as the implications sank in. Their conflict with the aliens, their very presence in this distant part of space, suddenly seemed part of a much larger, more complex story. "Does it say why they never made contact?" Chen asked, breaking the silence. Sato shook her head. "I'm still working on translating a lot of it. But from what I can gather, there was some kind of debate within their civilization. Some wanted to make contact, others argued for non-interference." Jack's mind raced with the possibilities. This information could change everything: their understanding of the conflict, their strategies, perhaps even the future of human-alien relations. But first, they had to survive long enough to bring this knowledge home. "Good work, Doc," he said finally. "This could be a game changer. But for now, we need to stay focused on repairs. Keep digging into that database when you can. Any information on their tech could help us get this ship moving again." As the team dispersed once more to their tasks, Jack found himself lingering at the view screen. The asteroids continued their silent dance outside, indifferent to the dramas of aliens and humans alike. He thought of stubborn Pete, the old donkey back on the farm. "Bet you never imagined I'd end up here, old friend," he murmured. Drawing strength from the memory, Jack squared his shoulders and headed back to the engine room. They had a ship to fix and a home to return to. The mysteries of the universe would have to wait. Little did Jack know, those mysteries were about to become a lot more pressing, and their isolated struggle was soon to be thrust onto a much larger stage. The soft glow of alien displays cast strange shadows across Dr. Emily Sato's face as she pored over the historical database. 2 weeks had passed since their desperate flight into the asteroid field, and while progress on repairing the ship was slow, their understanding of their alien adversaries was growing by leaps and bounds. Emily, Sergeant Jack Cooper's voice broke through her concentration. "You missed chow time. Again." Sato looked up, blinking, as if coming out of a trance. "Jack, I'm sorry, you need to see this." As Jack moved to her side, she brought up a series of holographic images. They showed alien cityscapes, breathtaking in their otherworldly beauty, but with a familiarity that was almost unsettling. "I've been translating more of their historical records," Sato explained, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and trepidation. "Jack, their civilization is old. Incredibly old. They've been spacefaring for millennia." Jack nodded, taking in the implications. So why haven't they conquered the galaxy by now? Why is Earth still free? Sato's fingers danced over the controls, bringing up new images. These showed what appeared to be alien parliamentary proceedings, heated debates frozen in time. "That's just it," she said. "They're not conquerors, at least not in the way we imagined. Their society is built on a principle they call the Great Equilibrium. It's a philosophy of non-interference, of maintaining the balance of the cosmos." Jack's brow furrowed. "But that doesn't make sense. They attacked us. They were ready to wipe us out." Sato nodded grimly. That's where it gets complicated. From what I can gather, our arrival at their council world triggered a massive political upheaval. There's a faction within their society that sees us as a threat to the equilibrium. They believe that by advancing into space on our own, we've upset some cosmic balance. As Jack processed this information, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "Sarge, Doc, you better get up here," Corporal Chen's voice came through, tense and urgent. "We've picked up a signal." Rushing to the bridge, Jack and Sato found Chen and Rodriguez huddled around the sensor station. A faint, rhythmic beeping emanated from the speakers. "It just started a few minutes ago," Chen explained. "It's weak, but it's definitely artificial, and I don't think it's alien." Jack leaned in, listening intently. There was something familiar about the pattern. It's Morse code, he realized aloud. SOS, coordinates, and humanity prevails. The team exchanged looks of mixed hope and confusion. Could there be other human survivors out there, or was it a trap? "How far?" Jack asked. Rodriguez consulted the alien nav system. "Hard to say with these weird units, but I'd guess maybe 2 days at full power. Which, we don't have." Jack nodded, his mind racing through their options. The signal could be their ticket home, but it could also lead them straight into danger. And their ship was still barely functional. "Okay, here's the plan," he said finally. "We redouble our efforts on repairs. Sato, see if you can use anything from that alien database to help us get the main drive online. Chen, Rodriguez, focus on getting our weapons and shields operational. If we're going to check out that signal, we need to be ready for anything." As the team dispersed to their tasks with renewed vigor, Jack found himself drawn back to the historical displays Sato had been studying. The alien cities, so advanced yet somehow familiar, seemed to mock him with their serenity. He thought about the alien philosophy of equilibrium, about the vast span of time they'd been watching Earth. Had humanity's rapid advancement into space truly upset some cosmic balance? Or was there something more to this conflict, something they were still missing? Jack's musings were interrupted by a sudden tremor that ran through the ship. Warning lights flashed across the bridge consoles. "What now?" he muttered, rushing to check the readouts. The asteroid field, which had been their hiding place and protector for the past 2 weeks, was now becoming a deadly threat. A massive collision somewhere in the field had set off a chain reaction, sending waves of debris hurtling in all directions, including theirs. "All hands, brace for impact," Jack shouted into the intercom. "Chen, get us moving. Any power you can give to engines now." The next few minutes were chaos as the damaged ship limped through the intensifying asteroid storm. Jack found himself at the helm, his hands dancing over alien controls that were becoming only slightly more familiar, guiding them through the debris by sheer force of will and a hefty dose of luck. As they finally cleared the worst of the storm, emerging into a relatively clear pocket of space, Jack allowed himself a moment of relief. But it was short-lived. The evasive maneuvers had drained their already limited power reserves, and several new alarms indicated fresh damage to the hull. "Status report," he called out, his voice hoarse. "Main drives still offline," Rodriguez reported. "But we've got maneuvering thrusters." "Barely." "Life support's taken a hit," Chen added grimly. "We're down to maybe 5 days of oxygen, tops." Sato's voice came last, tinged with a mix of worry and determination. "Communications are still functioning. Jack, I think we need to risk checking out that signal. We're running out of options." Jack closed his eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of command bearing down on him. They were damaged, low on supplies, and heading possibly into a trap. But the alternative was a slow death in the endless void of space. Opening his eyes, he saw his team looking to him, trust and determination evident in their faces despite their exhaustion. "All right," he said finally. "Let's go see who's out there. Plot a course for those coordinates. Best speed we can manage." As the ship limped towards its unknown destination, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the cusp of something monumental. Whether it was rescue or doom that awaited them, one thing was certain: the next few days would determine not just their fate, but possibly the future of human-alien relations. With a silent prayer, Sergeant Jack Cooper prepared to lead his team into the unknown once more, Days bled into one another as the damaged alien ship limped through space, its motley human crew pushing both themselves and their stolen vessel to the limits. The coordinates of the mysterious signal became a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the vast, uncaring void. Sergeant Jack Cooper stood at the makeshift helm, his eyes burning from lack of sleep as he manually adjusted their course. The ship's autopilot had failed 2 days into their journey, forcing them to maintain constant vigilance. "How we looking?" Sarge Rodriguez's voice came from behind him, thick with fatigue. Jack checked the alien navigational display, which they jury-rigged to show something approximating their position. "If our calculations are right, we should reach the signal's coordinates in about 36 hours, assuming we don't run into any more surprises." As if on cue, a proximity alarm blared. Jack's hands flew over the controls, bringing up the sensor readings. "Patrol ship," he announced grimly. "Looks like they're still searching for us." The bridge erupted into tense activity. Chen rushed to the weapons station, while Sato worked frantically to boost their meager stealth capabilities. "Power signatures still weak," Chen reported. "They might not have spotted us yet." Jack nodded, his mind racing through their options. They were in no shape for another firefight, but their ability to evade was severely limited. "Kill all non-essential systems," he ordered. "Sato, can you vent some plasma to mask our heat signature?" For agonizing minutes they drifted, playing dead in the endless night of space. The alien patrol ship drew closer, its sensors probing the darkness. Jack held his breath, acutely aware of every creak and groan of their battered vessel. Finally, after what felt like hours, the patrol ship moved on, disappearing into the distance. Collective sighs of relief filled the bridge, but the close call had taken its toll, adding another layer of stress to their already frayed nerves. As the hours wore on, the psychological weight of their situation began to press down on the crew. Tempers flared over minor issues, and periods of tense silence were broken by bursts of gallows humor. During one of their brief rest periods, Jack found Dr. Sato in the ship's small mess area, staring blankly at a ration pack. "Credit for your thoughts, Doc," he said, sliding into the seat across from her. Sato looked up, her eyes red-rimmed from lack of sleep. "I was just thinking. About the aliens. About everything we've learned." Jack nodded, encouraging her to continue. "We came out here looking for allies, or at least peaceful coexistence," Sato said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Instead, we found a civilization older than we can imagine, one that sees us as a threat to the very fabric of the cosmos. And now," she gestured vaguely around them, "now we're fugitives in a stolen ship, possibly the last free humans in the galaxy." Jack reached out, placing a reassuring hand on her arm. "We don't know that. Earth is still out there, and whatever that signal is, it proves we're not alone." Sato managed a weak smile. "Always the optimist, aren't you, Sergeant?" "Someone's got to be," Jack replied with a wry grin. Their moment of camaraderie was interrupted by Chen's voice over the intercom. "Sarge, Doc, we're picking up transmissions. I think it's from Earth." Rushing to the bridge, they found Chen and Rodriguez huddled around the communications array. Bursts of static-filled chatter emerged from the speakers, tantalizingly familiar yet frustratingly unclear. "Can you clean it up?" Jack asked, leaning in close. Rodriguez shook his head. "Working on it, but our equipment's barely holding together as it is." For hours, they worked to boost the signal, catching snippets of what sounded like military communications. Words like counteroffensive and alien withdrawal filtered through the static, painting a confusing picture of the situation back home. As they neared the end of their journey, tension on the ship reached a fever pitch. The mysterious signal grew stronger, but so did their apprehension. What would they find? Rescue? An ambush? Or something beyond their imagining? 24 hours from their destination, disaster struck. A power surge, caused by their constant jury-rigging and overtaxing of systems, knocked out their life support. "We've got maybe 12 hours of oxygen left," Chen reported, her voice tight with barely controlled panic. After that, the unspoken truth hung heavy in the air. They were out of time, out of options. Everything now hinged on reaching the source of that signal before their air ran out. Jack looked at his team, saw the fear and determination in their eyes. They'd come so far, survived so much. He refused to let it end here. "All right, listen up," he said, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at his gut. "We're going to make it. I don't care if we have to get out and push this alien bucket of bolts ourselves. We're going to reach that signal, and we're going to find a way home." As the others nodded, drawing strength from his words, Jack turned to stare out at the star-filled void before them. Somewhere out there was the source of the signal, their last hope for survival. And beyond that, Earth waited changed, perhaps by the conflict with the aliens, but still home. With dwindling oxygen and a ship barely holding together, Sergeant Jack Cooper and his team prepared for the final leg of their incredible journey. The next few hours would determine not just their fate, but potentially the future of humanity among the stars. As they pushed onward, each breath more precious than the last, Jack found himself thinking of stubborn Pete back on the farm. The old donkey's determination had seen him through many tough times. Now, Jack hoped that same stubborn spirit would see them through this final, desperate push. The countdown to their arrival, or their last gasp, had begun. The alien ship's bridge was eerily quiet, save for the labored breathing of its human occupants. Oxygen levels had dropped critically low, and each member of the crew fought against the growing fog in their minds. Sergeant Jack Cooper's hands trembled slightly as he guided the vessel towards the coordinates of the mysterious signal. They were close now, so close, but their time was running out. In contact, Chen's voice, weak but urgent, broke the silence. "I've got a reading dead ahead." Jack squinted at the view screen, his vision blurring. At first he saw nothing but the endless starfield. Then, slowly, a shape began to resolve itself against the backdrop of space. "Is that?" Rodriguez began, unable to finish the thought. Dr. Sato leaned forward, her eyes wide. "It's a ship. But I don't recognize the design. It's not one of ours, and it doesn't match any alien configurations we've seen." Before they could speculate further, their communications array crackled to life. A voice, distorted but unmistakably human, filled the bridge. "Unidentified vessel. This is Admiral Leeds of the Earth Defense Fleet. Identify yourself immediately." The crew exchanged looks of shock and disbelief. Admiral Leeds? Earth Defense Fleet? What had happened while they were lost in space? Jack took a deep breath, wincing at the effort it took, and responded. "This is Sergeant Jack Cooper, Earth Marines. Admiral, we're on a stolen alien vessel with critical systems failing. Request immediate assistance." There was a pause that felt like an eternity. Then, Sergeant Cooper. "My God, we thought you were lost with the ground teams. Stand by for emergency docking procedures." The next few minutes were a blur of activity. Despite their exhaustion and the thinning air, the crew worked with renewed energy to align their ship with the Earth vessel. As the docking clamps engaged, they heard the blessed sound of air rushing into their ship. Moments later, the airlock opened, and a team of humans in advanced spacesuits rushed in, medical personnel close behind. As oxygen masks were pressed to their faces, Jack felt the fog in his mind begin to clear. Admiral Leeds himself stepped through the airlock, his weathered face a mix of relief and concern. "Sergeant Cooper, Dr. Sato, all of you. Welcome back. You've been through hell, but it's over now. You're safe." As the medical team assessed their condition, Leeds brought them up to speed on the situation. "A lot has happened since you've been gone. The aliens, the ones you encountered, they've been dealt with." Jack's eyes widened. "Dealt with? How?" Leeds' expression turned grim. "We had no choice. After their attack and your disappearance, we launched a counter-offensive. Their homeworld. It's gone." A heavy silence fell over the group. Despite everything they'd been through, the thought of an entire world destroyed was sobering. But Leeds continued, "That's not the end of the story. The other alien races in the Universal Council? They sided with us." Sato leaned forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her exhaustion. "What do you mean, Admiral?" "It turns out, the aliens you encountered were extremists. rogue elements within their society who believed humanity needed to be eliminated to preserve some cosmic balance. The rest of the council? They welcomed us with open arms, or tentacles in some cases. As Leeds explained further, a picture emerged of a dramatically changed galaxy. Humanity had not only survived but had been accepted into a vast community of spacefaring races. The destruction of the hostile alien homeworld was a tragedy, but it had also opened the door to unprecedented cooperation and advancement. What about the survivors? Jack asked, thinking of the alien historical database they'd discovered, the ones who didn't agree with the extremists. Leeds nodded approvingly. We've extended an olive branch. Many have accepted, seeing a chance to rebuild their society free from the old dogmas. It's going to be a long process, but we're hopeful. As the team absorbed this information, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Jack tensed, ready for a new threat, but Leeds remained calm. "Don't worry," the Admiral said with a slight smile. "That's just the arrival of your rescue party." The view screen flickered to life, showing a massive Earth battleship emerging from what appeared to be a fold in space itself. "Is that FTL technology?" Rodriguez asked, awe evident in his voice. Leeds nodded. "Reverse engineered from alien tech. We've made some advancements of our own while you've been away." As the enormous ship drew closer, Jack felt a wave of emotion wash over him. They had survived, against all odds. Not only that, but they were returning to an Earth that had taken its place among the stars. Sir Jack said, turning to Leeds. "What happens now?" The Admiral's eyes twinkled with a mix of pride and excitement. "Now, Sergeant Cooper, now we go home. And then we have a galaxy to explore." As the rescue ship began docking procedures, Jack shared a look with his team. They had set out on a mission that seemed doomed to failure, only to return as heroes to a new age of human history. Jack's hand brushed against his pocket, feeling the familiar outline of Stubborn Pete's photo. He smiled, thinking of the old donkey back on the farm. "Looks like our stubborn streak paid off, old friend," he murmured. The airlock opened, revealing a path to their ride home. As Sergeant Jack Cooper and his team stepped forward into their new future, they carried with them the knowledge and experiences that would help shape humanity's place in the vast, complex tapestry of galactic civilization. Their incredible journey was over, but humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. Thank you so much for listening to this story. I hope you loved it. Please remember to subscribe if you did like it so you can see more videos like this. And please give us a like and a comment too. I'll see you in the next one.